I hope to meet with representatives of the government. I hope to have the chance to actually see Kilmar and see what his condition is.
We had the breaking news that Senator Van Hollen has accomplished at least that stated goal. He was initially turned away from this prison in El Salvador today, but then hours later, the El Salvadoran government arranged for Mr. Abrego Garcia to get out of the prison in order to meet Senator Van Hollen, somewhat bizarrely, in civilian clothes at a hotel in San Salvador.
So, first of all, kudos to Senator Van Hollen. And honestly, that's what it looks like to be an elected representative. He represents Maryland. This is someone who is a Maryland resident, and he decided that he was going to go down there and check on him. And honestly, I don't know that I was convinced that he was alive. I really don't.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and we need to see more action from people kind of emulating what we saw from Senator Van Hollen. Jasmine Crockett didn't flinch. She said this is what you get when you hire a thug, and she's right.
If Senator Van Hollen can get down there, if the president can get up here and get to the White House, then I don't understand why we can't get Abrego up out of there. I mean, we know that they admitted that they were wrong. Now they're trying to double back and say, well, he's this terrible person and all this kind of stuff. But here's the reality. As far as I'm concerned, he's a lot less criminal than the person that's sitting in the White House. Because last time I checked, he doesn't have any criminal convictions. I don't even think he has any outstanding cases versus the guy that still had cases pending when he was sworn in on January 20th and also has 34 felony convictions. So listen, I don't want to hear anything from the Republican Party about how they're trying to keep us safe when their fearless leader is actually the biggest criminal thus far that we have seen, because I haven't seen anybody with a rap sheet that looks like the president.
Donald Trump isn't the commander-in-chief. He's the thug-in-chief. And as Crockett laid out, this goes far beyond one man, is that this is about the erosion of due process and the dangerous precedent Trump is setting, especially when he jokes about sending so-called homegrowns to the same Salvadorian prison where Kilmar Abrego Garcia is being wrongfully held without ever seeing a courtroom. That's not law and order. That's political theater wrapped in cruelty. Crockett nailed it when she said, I don't want to hear anything from the Republican Party about how they're trying to keep us safe when their fearless leader is actually the biggest criminal thus far that we have seen. Because I haven't seen anybody with a rap sheet that looks like the president's. And she's absolutely right. Let's get something straight. Donald Trump has more felony convictions than Kilmar Abrego Garcia, more than Mohammed Khalil, more than Al Capone, Jeffrey Dahmer, and Charles Manson. Senator Van Hollen had to fly to El Salvador just to make sure Kilmar Abrego Garcia was alive. Think about that. A sitting U.S. senator acting like a hostage negotiator just to confirm that a lawful resident, a Maryland resident, hadn't been disappeared by the same government that claimed to be about law and order. ICE knew that they were wrong. They admitted it. And then they flipped. Why? Because in Trump's America, admitting fault is weakness and cruelty is policy. They couldn't admit that they had the wrong guy, so they rewrote the narrative. Suddenly, Abrego became a threat, a criminal, a target. No trial, no evidence, just deportation by decree. Trump joked on camera about sending homegrowns to the same Salvadorian prison. That wasn't a gaffe. That was a threat. He meant it. And if you don't think he'll act on it, if he's not reelected, then you have not been paying attention. This is what authoritarianism looks like in real time. It starts with immigrants, protesters, dissenters, but it doesn't end there. The playbook hasn't changed. It's just been repackaged with MAGA merch and Fox News soundbites. We are up against a real challenge, a constitutional crisis. Jobs are getting cut, veterans are being fired, and we all want to know for how long. How long do we have to suffer under the cruelty and inhumanity of the Trump administration? How long will Republicans throw their own constituents under the bus and us along with them before someone pushes back? Because here's the real question. How bad does it have to get? How many rights have to be stripped? How many people have to lose food stamps, Medicaid, be deported illegally, or disappeared entirely before even the poorest Republicans still living in squalor realize they voted against their own best interests? Trump hasn't delivered jobs. He hasn't made healthcare cheaper. He hasn't made life better for working families. But what we're up against, what Katie Fang is suggesting, is easier said than done. The Trump faithful are the same people who screamed that he won the election with an overwhelming mandate. But judging from the latest polls, where Donald Trump is underwater by 29 points with independents, and where an overwhelming number of Americans think that his economic plan is going in the wrong direction, the country is not with him. This is not a mandate. It's an absolute meltdown. So the question is no longer if this administration will cross the line. They already have. The question now is, what are we going to do about it? We started this with a question. Where is the action? Where is the courage? Katie Fang asked it, Jasmine Crockett answered it, and now the rest of us have to decide what we're going to do with that truth. Because the reality is this. We are watching in real time as due process is shredded, cruelty is normalized, and the Constitution is used as a prop by the very people dismantling it. Republicans scream about border security while deporting legal residents. They cry about crime while worshiping a man with 34 felony convictions. They talk about safety while turning their backs on truth, on justice, and on every value they claim to stand for. Jasmine Crockett showed us what it looks like to speak without fear, to confront power without apology. And now the rest of us have a choice to make. Do we stay quiet while innocent people are disappeared? Do we let these jackaloons rewrite the rules in real time and call it law and order? Or do we stand up even if our voices shake? Let's be clear. Trump created this cruelty. He said the quiet part out loud. He turned dog whistles into bullhorns and made cowardice fashionable for every elected Republican hiding behind their silence. But we see it for what it is. We see them for what they are. The question is no longer whether Trump and his followers will cross the line. They have crossed it a long time ago. The only question now is whether we have the guts to push back, whether we'll vote, speak, organize, and demand better from a system that's failing so many. If you're still wondering where the courage is, it's not in Congress. It's not in the Republican Party. It's in people like Jasmine Crockett, standing up when it's inconvenient, when it's dangerous, when it actually matters. And if we don't stop this descent into authoritarianism, we better start emulating that kind of backbone, because the playbook hasn't changed. It's just wearing a red hat now. Now is the time for action, not later, not after the next court ruling, not after the next tragedy, now. Because when Jasmine Crockett laid it all out, that Abrego Garcia is a lot less of a criminal than the person sitting in the White House, she wasn't exaggerating. She was telling the damn truth. Trump has the rap sheet, not Garcia. Trump has the power, not El Salvador. And Trump is the one threatening everything this country claims to stand for. If we can't act on that now, then we're admitting that justice in America is nothing more than a theatrical performance. The line in the sand has already been crossed. So the only thing left to ask is, what are we going to do about it? And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.